Thank you for joining us for another opportunity of fellowship with This Is My Story, testimonies that move the soul. This afternoon, this institution we're going to hear about not only has been a staple in the African American community of Seventh-day Adventists, but also in its community where it currently sits. But that's not how it began. It began on Naomi Street, and we'll hear from individuals that will be able to share highlights of what they recall having a relationship of one form or another with this campus. Before we continue, let me take a moment to introduce our guests. We have a number of them that will be joining us and speaking with us, sharing with us, and perhaps we will be able to cover all of the ground with a few laughs, a few reflections, some memories, and maybe even be able to find out if any of them have received a paddle on the hand or the backside from Elder Patey. That's a story that was shared with me earlier this week, how Elder Patey paddled the entire bus. I got to get into that before the whole day is over. But let's take a moment to introduce our guests. We have our alumni president, current alumni president, Harold Burnett. We'll be hearing from him first, followed by former LAAA alumni presidents. I'm just introducing them. I don't know if they'll go in this order. But we have our former alumni president, Anita Knight, who is also the daughter of a teacher that was there for a number of years. And perhaps Elder Broomfield, maybe the longest running serving teacher on the campus. I'm not certain if that is correct, but I have a feeling that may be that Mrs. Knight, her mom, may have served there as a teacher longer than anyone. We'll find out if that's true. That's followed by the next former president, Elder Anthony Pascal, having served as alumni president following her. I don't know if any of our other former presidents are on, Dr. Chris Dent, Gary Willis, Dr. Mark Woodson. If they're on, I hope that they'll make themselves known. And then we have some alumnus. The alumnus that are joining us this afternoon, Dr. Randy Maxwell. You may recognize that name, and rightfully so. An author, as well as an alumnus, an excellent speaker, and one who has walked the halls of this prestigious school. And then that followed by Dr. Ronald McCowan, not only a known philanthropist for the school, he and family, but also an individual who has shown and demonstrated a reason for wanting to give back, and he has done so dutifully. And then we continue. We have one of our current instructors and teachers, Herman Innocent, and he will be hosting an exciting event that you don't want to miss, and that will be next week. So we'll be hearing from him. And then we have our vice president who has served the campus in a number of ways with his organization, Paradise Productions, an alumnus from LAAA as well, now serving this year as vice president for the Alumni Association. I believe I may have covered all the guests. I don't know if Sister Patey was able to arrange to get on, but Elder Broomfield, have I covered everyone?
You also have Walter Turner.
Thank you very much. Indeed, you have Elder Turner, our brother Turner, who has joined us, and he spoke earlier. And then I know that Chris Jordan sent me a message, and he plans to be on within the half hour. So there's a number of individuals. And
did we say JP Willis?
JP, is he on as well? Thank you for that. Elder JP Willis, former principal for Lynwood and LAAA, and assistant superintendent of schools for the Southern California Conference. And of course, some of you know him for having the skills on the golf course, as well as the voice that we have heard singing over and over again. That may capture those names. If you want to add to that, feel free to do so. But let's pause for right now. Take a moment. The time is yours. It's my delight to welcome each of you to This Is My Story. And today's story does not end here, because you see, it's not just LAAA's story, it's your story, it's their story, it's our story. because it has touched each of us in so many ways. And by the way, how many members did I count from my family? I got all the way up to 10 individuals between my father's side of the family and my mother's side of the family that have matriculated through those halls. Wow, what an impact. And so it's without any further delay that I want to welcome our LAAA current president, Harold Burnett. This time is now yours. Welcome.
I don't know if he's able to speak. I know he's on, but he has given me the opportunity to speak on his behalf.
Surely.
But on behalf of our president, Harold Burnett, we just want to thank you so kindly, Sister Debbie, for giving us this platform, this opportunity in which to not only talk about Christian education, but talk about a common thread that we all have, and that is Lynwood Academy and LAAA and LA Union. And we thank you so kindly. And we'll also be hearing from different folks who have not only matriculated, but have come back to support the school. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity. Without any more delay, I am going to reflect on, I was only at Lynwood only for 1 year, my senior year. And some of my colleagues at university where I was attending wanted to know why did I beg my parents to go to Lynwood when most of them were trying to talk their parents out of taking them out of Lynwood. And I have always wanted to be in a Christian education experience. I came from Crenshaw High, and it was known at the time, it was one of the newest high schools at the time in LA, and it was nicknamed Fort Crenshaw because of it was the first completely closed campus. Even the front looked like a fortress. And I was just so happy to be able to go to a school and not have to worry about illicit behavior and language. And it was a Christian atmosphere. It was strange to me to be in class all day, and every class started with a prayer. That wasn't something I was used to. But I just want to thank my parents for allowing me to at least have my senior year at Lynwood. And I truly have appreciated over the years. This year, we're the alumni, we are getting ready to celebrate 100 years of existence at El Segundo, not at El Segundo, but as an institution. And we are even older than Pine Forge Academy. I think they're 90 something. And so we're gearing up this year to have a great celebration in pushing and promoting. Want to focus on a big bang of a celebration that we're planning that you'll hear about later in the next couple of months of what we're going to be able to do for our beloved school and celebrating its centennial. And also this year, in preparation for that, and because of COVID, we're not doing our usual 3-day event. We're down to 2-day event, and actually it's not a church service. It's going to be an AY program, which Herman Fennison is online here, and he'll tell you a little bit more about it. I'll share my screen and show you our promo. But it's called Through the Years. And so we will be reflecting on some memories at Rupp Memorial. A lot of things happened at Rupp Memorial, not only for the school, but also for all the African-American churches. That was our shrine auditorium, if you would. That's where we had some of our biggest memories, some of our biggest concerts, some of our beloved chapel programs, and it brings a lot of memories. So we're using that as a seat in which to bring this program called Through the Years, where our host is the capable Herman Fennison. We couldn't think of anybody else, Mr. Music himself. And I'll show you a quick look at our posters that some of you have seen. But
while you're pulling that up, Elder Broomfield, Benita, I'm wondering, might you prepare a word about how the school began between you and perhaps Dr. Nelson, but how the school began following
I'll defer. I can read it, but I know that it started back in 1923 at one of the local churches and then went to different campuses. I can't go into the details because I don't have that knowledge privy in my brain. But the latter part of the I think the early part of the 90s is when we lost Lynwood. And I believe my daughter actually was the first class for the new school for LAAA. So she was in the first established LAAA class, and she came in as a sophomore.
Very good.
yeah, so you were asking Sister Knight to reflect on the beginning of the school. She might not have as much information as what her claim to fame is, as I like to tell her, as regards to Lynwood alumni, is that it was because of Sister Knight, and she has a story to tell. She was the one that actually started up the Alumni Association. Jimmy Lee had said for years what our school needed was someone to create an alumni association. So between her and Elder Patee, I let her tell her story. It's her story to tell. But this is next week, we're going to be having our virtual AY program. It starts at 4 o'clock, and the board meeting will be the 20th. It will be held in one of the rooms right outside of the cafeteria. I think it's Sister Peak's old room, but when you get on campus, we'll be able to direct you. But look forward to hearing from others and inspiring and stories to tell and to hear. And thank you so much again, Sister Austin.
All righty, very good, very good. So thank you for that, Elder Broomfield. Benita, your earliest memories of the campus, when you think of the campus and what it offered, your first time having come on campus, what do you think of?
Well, I had just moved from Chicago. My family just moved from Chicago to Los Angeles. And it was my first year going to my first school in Los Angeles. When I lived in Chicago, I went to Shiloh Seventh-day Adventist Church. I was in kindergarten there. My mother taught there. When we moved to California, she ended up being a substitute teacher later on. But I went to first grade. My first day of school, I'll never forget that. I was excited to be in California, excited as a first grader to go to school. So my hair, my mother used to do the pencil curls on our hair. She'd wet it and wrap it around the pencil. And we'd have curls, have little curls in my little bun up. And I'm skipping, I'm so excited. And back then, we didn't have the paved concrete that we do now. We had the gravel roads with rocks and everything kicking up when you're driving down. And those old raggedy logs that are sitting where you park your car up to, now they're concrete logs, slabs there. Well, I was running and I tripped and fell. And I got a really bad cut or abrasion on my knee, probably the size of a golf ball. Crying, because I'm a first grader, I'm crying, everything, blood's dripping everywhere. So first day they patched me up, I go into my classroom, and the entire first grade year, I kept falling on that knee and reopening that wound. And today I call myself being branded. That school is anointed. God has a special mission for that school. But it was because of my mother and her dedication. Debbie, you are right. She taught for 58 years. She committed her life to education. And she told the Lord that if he would provide a way for her to have all of her children go to a Seventh-day Adventist school and have a Christian education, she would serve him for the rest of her life. And that's exactly what she did. And going forward, I don't know if you want me to keep going or you just want me to pause there.
Let's pause for a moment.
Okay.
I'm going to come back to you. Let's pause for a moment. There are a number of individuals, and I think we'll have an opportunity to hear from different ones, and then come back to that, because it is true. Benita, you started the Alumni Association beginning with its kickoff there in 2009. When you think of those who have impressed you the most on the campus, who do you think of? Let's see, and let's go to Elder Pascal, who is kind of in the same season that you were there, Benita. So although I know there are two individuals online who surpass all of you, and I saw both of them come on, so I'll have to get to them because those are probably two of your oldest living members. But I think, let me get this out of the way first. So Elder Pascal, are you still there? And
Yes.
okay, so let's talk about that. When you think of who has impressed you the most and inspired you in terms of the campus and its teachers and students, who might that be?
Okay, so thank you. First of all, thank you all for having me up here in the East Oakland area. Kind of reminds me of Compton, California, and where LAAA is. So I feel at home, but it's a lot of interesting things been happening up here. So thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on this call with one of my long-term friends, Ronald McCowan, from first grade all the way up to Oakwood College. We were there going to school every year together. So I'm glad to see that he's on. So thank you for the question. So I was trying to remember all my teachers. So I got stories from the campus of LA Union, the campus of Lynwood Academy, and then thanking JP and Dr. Wright for bringing me back so I could pour back into the students as almost like a school chaplain. So my teachers were, so I miss Benita's mom. After all those years of teaching, she didn't get me. Zenobia Hill didn't get me. So, you know, those were long-term teachers I missed. So Alice Dent was my first educator that I ran into. You know, and Alice Dent was around for a while. Those of you may remember if you had that opportunity from first grade. She had an impact on me because she was so gracious for me. My second grade teacher is on this Zoom right now, Dr. Lily Nelson. She was my second grade teacher. Martha Clay was my third grade teacher. Vera Arbinger went on to be Vera Miller at Valley Fellowship, was my fourth grade teacher. Fifth grade was Dr. Lily Nelson again. Mrs. Pritchett in my sixth grade class. Calvin Lloyd was my seventh grade teacher. I was really bothered by that because he was also my Sabbath school teacher at the Berean Church. He could also tell my dad everything I did, so I had a problem with that. But anyway, we got over that. And then my eighth grade teacher was Mrs. Pritchett again. So all those individuals had impact, but the reason why I mentioned Calvin Lloyd, Wright, Herbert Nelson, because those were the men that I had at elementary school that actually made an impact on me. So Dr. Lily Nelson, Ronald McCowan, or John Willis and I would say that was our favorite teacher. Mrs. Pritchett was more strict. You talked about SWATs. I don't know if I want to get on them right now, but two of them got me. Wasn't no Paytee. Paytee, I didn't see Paytee till I came back to be an alumni. But two of them swatted me. Wasn't Dr. Nelson's, that's why she's my favorite. Wasn't Mrs. Pritchett, that's why she's one of my favorites. It was Vera Miller Arbinger back in the day. And Ronald McCown, you remember the principal, Richard Simons, because I think you were in that little deal with us in the fifth grade where we tried to blow up the school. But at any rate, I'll leave that for another. But the other ones were my favorite. I can go on to tell you about Milton Woodson. We tried to derail a train by leaving school one day. There's a whole bunch of stories. So thank God I'm here. But my teachers, if they weren't here, I'd be in prison somewhere. Thank God for those teachers at LAAA.
So the song that comes to mind is "You Dropped the Bomb on Me."
Which
was
bomb?
that?
Which bomb?
Wait. Put a pin in that. Dr. McCowan, you've been laughing since your buddy showed up. What is he talking about that you all tried to bomb the school? Don't put your hands up. Were you there? Were you there?
Something, well, you know what? He's one of my best friends, so I'm sure I was there. This guy, we got through.
All right.
Partners in
I partners in crime till the end. And they say confession is good for the soul. It is coming out now, you know, because they see the signs are unfolding, the Lord is soon to come. It's good to let these things out right now. Their statute of limitations is gone. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
So I'll tell you this easy one. Dr. Lily Nelson, I think she was the first one that gave me, what do you call standards when you get in trouble? You had to write all these sentences and like that. What did you say?
Because the sun going across me.
I think someone is talking. We're gonna help them mute out.
Y'all better mute. You better mute that because we talking some bad stuff now. I don't want you to get caught part of it.
It is
So,
standards, Anthony. It's standards.
The standards. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's written.
it is.
You gotta write those. So I think we were like had to stay in a week or two. So John Willis and I, instead of writing a lot, we played like Batman and Robin because that was a new series out. We played Batman and Robin through that whole thing, and finally, by grace, Dr. Nelson let us in and out of that thing. But in that same grade is where, I don't know, see, Ronald McCown's real nice, but I think we were creating stink bombs. Do you remember that, Ron? So we had this little pen, and we put a match in the pen, right? And we put a little spring on it, and a little bobby pin, and we would pull the bobby pin out with the spring, and the spring would let go, strike the match, and the match would set on fire inside the pen, and it would create these stink bombs. All right, so we were going around campus, and we were the cool guys, and having these little stink bombs. And the word got to Richard Simon, who was a huge, big physical principal at the time, and he called about 8, 9 of us in, spanning several grades. I think from Timothy Sankey to poor Herbie Green. You remember him, the most innocent guy in the room. My cousin Ellis Perry, myself. So they march us to the principal's office, and there we are. And Richard Simon says we just all in trouble. So instead of getting suspended, we had to take some SWATs. So remember Larry Smith was in there. He was in there trying to negotiate. So he said, how many SWATs should you guys get? And we said, he's a big man. We said one. Only one will suffice. And so Richard Simons did an object lesson. He struck a match, right? He struck a match and he said, all y'all put your hand over this match. So we did that. He said, do you think one SWAT is as hot as this match? Of course, having not taken any kind of biology or chemistry class, we all say, yeah, it's really hot, really hot. So the principal took dominion and did not go with the group vote and said we're all gonna get 3 SWATs. So we had to, look for other volunteers to go first, and people just took 3 SWATs from Big Richard Simons. I think he didn't like this story after a while, but we all got 3 big whoppers, rubbed our backsides and went on back, and they kept us in school. And look where we are today. Hallelujah, Jesus.
Okay, we may have to consider Dr. McCowan and Bonita and a couple of the others. We might have to take up a collection for them to seal the records, verbally and written records, so that these things don't creep out. And although this is being recorded, so they're going to be able to come back to it. We don't have proof, so we'll have to see. But Elder Pascal, we're going to let you marinate there for a moment. And Dr. McCowan, when you think of the campus and the seed that was planted in you, now you being a medical doctor who has served on the East Coast as well as the West Coast, having returned back to the West Coast, you were moved so much by the institution that you have given regularly, not just given $100, but you've given and you've sacrificed. So tell me, why has this institution impacted you to the extent that it has? And why an investment in young African-American boys and girls who are in a community that is sometimes the last to be seen. Why this institution, where you could have your name in other places, but this institution is where you go back?
Well, that's a wonderful question. Thank you so much for asking that. And thank you so much, Franklin Broomfield, for the opportunity to be with this elite group here, elite group of orators. As you can see, Anthony Pascal and Benita, they are incredible. And Franklin also with their abilities to move a crowd. And it's been such a wonderful experience to have gone to school with them. And it's interesting, I was in lockstep with Elder Pascal as he named the teachers, because the teachers had such an incredible impact upon us. They taught us to respect God, to respect ourselves, to respect authority, and then to respect each other. And so when we left the school, we had that. And I've never forgotten that. You know, we had some great experiences. We had a lot of fun. We got in trouble. Anthony hasn't told you the half of it in terms of, you know, some of the crazy things that we did. And the interesting thing is, even when the teachers disciplined us, there was always respect in that. You always came away from that respecting yourself. You never thought that they had made you feel less than you were. And so, I mean, when I look at my education, I went to Lynwood, Oakwood, Loma Linda University, and education after that. The foundation was at LA Union or LAAA. Relationships, my mentors, the kids in front of me, Bill Hicks, Grady Mixon, James Lee, Michael Pennington, those guys were mentors to me. I watched what they did. I watched how they handled things. I listened to what they said. Anthony's brother, Sam Pascal. And it's interesting, when we went to Oakwood, I mean, we all knew that we were part of the same family. In fact, I think many of us were on the plane together as we flew out of Los Angeles to the Huntsville airport. And so all of that began at LAAA. You know, we didn't have a football team, a basketball team, or a baseball team, but we played, and we played well enough to go out and play with people just to play out in the world. Because, you know, we got the whole package there at LA Union. So, you know, it's important that we give back in any way that we can, whether or not it's, you know, going to a school and substitute teaching, if you have the finances to support it that way, all sorts of things that you can do. I had some slides I wanted to show, but I think the platform is probably best as it is now. I will show them if you want me to, but I'm absolutely fine with the way we're doing it now. And I think one of the things I wanted to say was that I came to the school as a non-Adventist. And I have a picture I wanted to show of our graduation. There was Anthony Pascal standing next to John Willis, standing next to Ellis Perry and Wayne Marshall. And I was in the group there as well. These guys remain my best friends. I'm being straightforward with you about that. In the first grade, Mr. Dent's class, I sat next to Ellis Perry. Ellis looks to me and says, "Hey, Ron, first of all, I'm surprised. How does he know my name?" Then he says, "Your mother knows my mother." That's all he said. I said nothing because I was so bewildered. Well, by the time we got to the third grade, his mother and father were picking me up on Saturdays, my cartoon day, to take me to church. Well, lo and behold, I go to church and half of my class is there at the University Church. And so it was a wonderful experience. And by the fourth grade, we had become Seventh-day Adventists, my mother, my sister, and I. And we have been Adventists for the longest. If I get a chance to show you this slide, it's just absolutely phenomenal. There's a study that was done called the Value Genesis Study. And the last study was in 2010. It's supposed to be a number 4 study coming up, but the pandemic interfered with that. But it looks at the importance of Christian education. By sending a kid to LAAA, you double the chance that he or their family, or whoever's in their family, that is connected is going to become a Seventh-day Adventist. And the longer they stay within the Seventh-day Adventist educational system, the less likely they are to leave church. And so when we look at the evangelistic impact that LAAA has, and I'm not sure if we have all the data on this, but it's just phenomenal. We have been given a gift with LAAA. And so the onus is upon us not only to keep it, but to improve it and to advance it. And we have the opportunity. We have the funding to do it. When SOS was developed to probably 5 or 6 years ago to intervene and to try to come up with funding so that we could keep the high school, the amount of money that the school was able to, the group SOS was able to gather in a short period of time was just phenomenal. I mean, it was just mind blowing to me. And I thought, you know what, we can do this once a year, and over a period of time, we can have the funding that we need. In fact, there is a LAAA Foundation. I have data on that, but I'm optimistic that number one, the purpose of which the school was established is still in place. I'm convinced of that. And that is evangelism of kids. And by doing that, you make sure that your future is intact and is secured so that things can continue on. And so let me thank you, Debbie and Jerry. Good to see you there. And congratulations on your book. What you guys have started is absolutely fantastic. And I hope you'll keep it going with the testimonies that move the soul. It's absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much for what you've done. And I'll shut up with that.
No, you're good. I've allowed you. I've opened it up where you can share your screen, Dr. McCowan. And while you're doing that, may I ask someone out of the speakers to pull down the pictures from the alumni page, especially the one with Dr. Partridge that was sent out on the announcement. Pull those out.
All right. So the slide before showed the school. And I just want to say that that's one of the best pictures of the school that I've seen. The painting, it's obviously been upgraded and it's very nice. So this is our class of 1969. You can see Elder Pastor right here in front here back in the day. And you'll probably recognize a lot of the other people. But I wanted to show this because this was a large class, 31 students. I remain connected, I'm sure, as Elder Pascal does as well, with at least 23 to 24 of these. Several have passed away, unfortunately. But this is the picture I was talking about with John Willis. John Willis is now like 6'4". Anthony Pascal, I'm not sure why Anthony's holding all the gifts. These are your gifts. Doesn't look like anybody else got gifts but Anthony, but Ellis is here. And I talked with you about Ellis and a good friend, Wayne Marshall. We are still all connected. I think a couple years ago, we went to see a Dodger game together, and that was just really wonderful. So here's a slide I wanted to show you, looking at the primary aim of Seventh-day Adventist Christian education, leading young people into a saving relationship with Jesus Christ. You look here, the character development, but the secondary aims are at the top: development of the Christian mind, development of social responsibility. This is so important at the time right now. Development of physical health, and then look here, development for the world of work. And we think that probably that would be number one on the list, but all these things are so important. But this experience has shown us that preparing young kids to work in the world is very, very important. Am I competing with someone? And then the ultimate goal is service to God and other people for both the here and the hereafter. Here's the Value Genesis study. 81% of all students said attending an Adventist school is the most important thing that helped me to develop my religious faith. How important is that? Incredible. We talked about baptisms. The longer a kid stays in school, the more likely they are to be baptized. Our church has experienced a huge loss of membership, 41%. This was a study that was done between 1965 and 2014. But look what happens. If you look at the kids that went to Adventist school, they remained in the church compared to those that young people that did not go to an Adventist school. So here again, there's a lasting effect of Adventist education. The most important years are the early years, the years that LAAA is covering right now. This talks about the finances. Most people give money for religion and education. This is how $410 billion was given. Most people give as individuals. There's a small portion that give as foundations. There is a challenge in California compared to other places, but we can certainly overcome that. Most people give in the place of worship compared to just formal education. But it is interesting that our place of worship is intricately linked with our educational system. This slide looks at how Black people give. I won't spend time with that. There's always a list every year of goals and areas where we can help in multiple ways for LAAA. This is an initiative that was started some time ago. What's important, I'm not sure if this is still in place, but you could, at that time, a few years ago, you could give online on the LAAA site. I hope that's still in place. We should all have some way that we can give back to our school. And as I mentioned, LAAA has a foundation. It's actually with the Community Foundation, which is in Riverside. And I think that this is a plan where we had in place to raise $500,000. We got sidetracked with that. I'm not sure the pandemic has something to do with that, but anyway, that's all I'm going to show at this point in time. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to once again share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. McCowan. What a very thought-provoking presentation when you look at the correlation between Christian education and baptism. There's something to be said about that. And you, having started the school as a non-Adventist, I couldn't help but remember Dr. Audrey Howard, one who passed, in recent years, 3 years ago, maybe. But she and her sister, if I'm not mistaken, started attending the school, and they were not Seventh-day Adventists at the time, and she and her sister later became Seventh-day Adventists, as I understand it. Thank you once again. Let's move on, and I'll come back to the gentleman. I think it's worth going back to find out what else they have that needs to be disclosed about their activities, their extracurricular activities. Let's see, Elder J.P. Willis. JP, you are on, and I know that Elder Broomfield connected with you. Perhaps you have something to share, but I want to ask you specifically, and then I want to hear from anyone that's on. When you think about the music of the Laniers and some of our favorite conductors, I think about Dennison, John Dennison, Dr. John Dennison. Think about him. I think about Elder Michael Kelly, and we think about the Laniers and the impact that they had, and then the other groups that came together as a result of that. There's a lot to be said about music and the role that it played in the lives of students on these campuses. JP, when you think about that, what comes to mind first when it comes to music? And then we'll ask you about the administrative side as well.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to, well, I don't know if I want to thank Franklin Broomfield for bamboozling me into spending the afternoon with this group, but it's worth the while because of seeing so many familiar faces. Musically at Lynwood, it's, well, at Lynwood and LA Union, I've always been impressed by the musical gifts of the students there. And they were not afraid or hesitant, or they did not hold back when it came to participating with music during chapels, during special events. And the Laniers were a very good high school group. I spent some time with the Laniers as their interim director one year. We even went on tour together. And so I had the opportunity to be up close and personal with many students that were part of it, and they did a fantastic job in executing the music that was given for their high school tour. I'd like to say that Lynwood, you're asking people who impressed them from a student teacher perspective. I'd like to say that Lynwood impressed me even before I became a part of Lynwood Academy. When I was at Oakwood College, it's interesting, and I don't know if this is the case everywhere, but at Oakwood, you would get a flavor of individuals from a variety of locations around the country. You could tell who was from Detroit. You could tell who was from New York. You could tell who was from Atlanta. And you could definitely tell those students who were from California. They were some of the first people to run out on the campus when it snowed and start throwing snowballs as though it's something they'd never seen before. But in addition to that, they were always distinctive because of the jackets that they wore on campus coming as students at Oakwood. And I developed friendships with many of the students, many of the former students there at Oakwood, long before I became a part of Lynwood as a teacher and eventually a vice principal and a principal there. And even while at Lynwood as a teacher and as a principal, the students were the ones that made impressions upon me, whereby I wanted to do my best for them, give them my best. And from those students, many of them have gone on to be extremely and highly successful individuals, professionally and also extremely highly successful as leaders in the church. So Lynwood was a special place. It was a magical place in my mind because of all of the different personalities that we interacted with. And Lynwood taught me a great deal of lessons that carried me from not only being a teacher, being an administrator, but also eventually becoming a superintendent. So Lynwood is special. It's precious to me. I have the unfortunate distinction, though, of being the last principal of Lynwood because it was taken by eminent domain while I was there as principal. And I was principal of Lynwood for its last 5 years before eminent domain took over. One story that Elder Patey would oftentimes share is that he will never forget that when we were grappling with the eminent domain issue with the city of Lynwood, eventually we were able to take it to trial because the money that they were initially offering as a city was much, much less than the value of the property. So we took it to trial, we took it to court. And in taking it to trial and taking it to court, Elder Patey said that there were members on the jury that always looked for the time when I would walk into the room to be there. I'm not sure what that was about, but he said that because of my presence, it was helpful in influencing them to pass a judgment that gave Lynwood Academy more money that they needed to have before making that final transition of being taken by eminent domain. So there are a lot of memories with Lynwood, the plays, the music, the teachers, all of those impacted my life in a very positive way. And I'm forever grateful for what Lynwood did for me professionally and spiritually.
Thank you, Willis. Appreciate that, as well as your administration. I see some shout outs to you that are coming in from individuals in the chat. Let's continue with some of the others who have reflections about the campus. I know that I'd asked about some pictures. Benita, can you help me out with that? If our maybe
Sure. Yeah.
pictures pictures from the alumni website that specifically the one with Dr. Partridge and the teachers that are there in front of the campus, if we could get that. And then let's move on to Herman Finnison, one of our current instructors, certainly one who understands the importance of music. He's the host for next week. And Herman, welcome. It's great to have you as well. The time is yours.
All right, thank you for having me. It's good to be here for sure. A lot of familiar faces on here, and it was good to hear a lot of the stories. So thank you, Miss Debbie. I see Miss Benita Knight. Of course, I went to school with her son. We were in the same class, and
Yep.
I've known the Passos and Mr. Willis and so many people on here. So I'm grateful to be a part of it. I definitely have some great memories of actually, I think I would kind of say I did a little bit of everything. I've been a little bit of everywhere. I was actually one of Mrs. Knight's assistants as she was teaching first grade. I was a teacher assistant there. Of course, I went to LA Union and went to Lynwood as well. Actually, Mr. Willis, he kind of followed me, or we followed each other. So he was my principal at LA Union, and then right to Lynwood, he was there. And he's just a great guy. Learned so much from him. Actually, I have a quick story on him, and he probably won't mind, but it's funny to me, so I'm gonna share it, so it's okay. So he came to the school this week, and the kids were actually calling him, were they asking, was he Obama? President Obama. So, you know, Mr. Willis is the man, he got the swag. So they were asking, was he President Obama? And I just laughed because I'm like, yeah, he's kind of President Obama. So, it's, you know, but Mr. Willis is definitely one who carries himself. I definitely always have appreciated him and all of the things that he stands for. But yeah, just a quick story for myself. With working with the kids right now, I heard Dr. McCowan say something really, really amazing, which he said it's evangelism. And the kids that are coming there now are, a lot of them are not Adventists, and they're coming from different spaces and places where they get a chance, as he was saying, to get a chance to learn about Jesus and be in an environment where love and those things are being presented every day. And I heard Mr. Broomfield talk about prayer, and it's a key staple in you know, the school. And we continue to be able to have the gifts and the talents to be on display in a loving environment where we are there to encourage and inspire that. And just as I look at the logo, and I listen to everyone here, and I see the family connectedness, it always brings a smile, because I believe that that's what, you know, heaven is about and church is about. It's just the family unit that continues to grow. And I always feel like I can learn from each individual here, as well as to hear stories. So I love the bridge, and that's kind of this the vision of the through the years. So it's a connectedness all the way down to where we are. So I just invite everyone to come to the alumni program, just to kind of we'll put a piece together of some things that through the years to try to just connect. And I'm looking at all these pictures now, are just beautiful pictures that's kind of connected everything, where we are a family, where we grow together in Christ, and we just continue to teach. And it's always something we can learn and pull from each other. So that's kind of my thing, Mrs. Debbie. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Herman, I probably would be remiss, and I'm going to go back to the picture that Benita has put up, one picture in particular, but Herman, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the sports aspect of the teams and how LAAA has been handling their selves on the court. That has been an integral part of the campus, and you've been a part of that. And tell us a little bit about sports and what's happening now on campus.
Yeah, it's been awesome. You know, Mr. Pascal, Mr. Keith Pascal was when I was there at Lynwood. You know, we had our team. We were, I don't want to brag or boast, but we were dominant. But you know, we dominated in basketball and in a lot of sports. And now, even at LAAA, I had the opportunity after Coach Damon and then I got a chance to coach the boys. We actually in 2012 we got to go to the semifinals, and you know, now even in our middle school, right before the pandemic, we had the kids were a part of a basketball league and a football league. We actually got a chance to reach the semifinals again. So we're, you know, we're very connected as far as keeping athletics, keeping it in good structure, in a very competitive space. And it's also just a great space when you're coaching, you get to mentor young men and young women. So it's a beautiful thing. And sports is something I've always loved to do. And we try to keep that going as much as possible to make sure that they have a structure to be able to play and just enjoy themselves and be the best that they can be. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Definitely.
So tell us one thing that they will not want to miss next week, next afternoon. You are the MC, as I understand. Give them a reason for why they should participate and why come. And while they're doing that, can someone put in the chat for me how you can send the donation to the campus to the alumni? Harold Burnett, President Burnett, or one of the officers, if you could put that in the chat. If you want to donate, how you do that. While Herman is telling us a reason why we need to be online with you next week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, thank you to President Burnett.
Benita Knight, who you
I would
saw.
love for everybody to be there. And I would say you don't want to miss it because there's a lot of surprises that are going to be involved here. A lot of surprises that will bring back a lot of memories. There's going to be some things that you will see that will jog your memory and bring you to a place where we're focusing on some things as Mr. Willis actually kind of touched on the music, Rupp Memorial, and there are going to be some different surprises. We're going to try to connect everything from down through the years. And as I said before, just as a LAAA Lynwood Academy family, I think the connection has always got to be connected. And so when we do that, I think it grows. But I'm just telling you, there's going to be surprises. So if you don't want to miss that and then hear about it later, I suggest you should come.
All right, that works for us. That works for us. Thanks so much, Herman, for all that you're doing in terms of Christian education and the alumni as well. I'm going to ask Nita, when you get to the picture of Dr. Partridge and that faculty, can you pause it? And let's see, I'd like to hear from our audience. Who is who in that picture? We know Dr. Partridge is there. And I know it's one of the pictures that's on the website. It may be coming up shortly, but
Okay.
love to hear from our group here. Who is in this picture and who recognizes who and some of the familiar faces?
Let me see.
While doing that, may I ask two of your alumnus if they would not mind sharing some reflections about LAAA. And I don't know, I did not ask them for permission to have them speak, but would Dr. Evelyn Thomas, I know she's an alumnus from the school. And then I saw Dr. Rock's name show up. Would either of you like to share any reflections about the campus, your experience there? And there it is, Benita.
Hopefully it won't move. It's on a rolling gallery, so I may have to keep clicking
Okay.
back.
Does anybody recognize anybody there? Let's go back, Benita.
Yeah,
Let's see.
hold on a second.
Okay.
Isn't that James Malone?
I thought I saw Elder Malone song as well. I thought I saw Mrs. Patey.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw Artie Helen in that picture there, but I thought Elder Malone song was in the back. So maybe we can find a way. And I thought I saw Gwendolyn Dent in the back, but I could be wrong.
She's there.
We'll
She's
have
there.
to
Is
see.
she there?
Dent
Is
and
that-
Mrs. Bridges also.
Is that Miss Rich next to Malone?
Let's see if we can find a
Yes.
way to pause it.
It,
And
you
then,
can't, I have to go into to the back end on the
That'll
website.
be fine. I have it as well. Maybe I can
Okay,
pull it up.
yeah, just do it. Well, I can pull your PowerPoint because I have that minimized on my workstation. Maybe that'd be a better way of doing it. Let me pull that. Just give me a moment. Okay. Give me a moment. Let's stop sharing for a minute. Okay. There you go. You see it?
So that's Alice Dent, right? Yeah. No, I'm right.
Second standing on the left is Alice Dent. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And next to her is Mrs. Pritchett. To her
Mhm,
left. And our right.
mhm. Debbie, you're muted.
Thank you. Anybody recognize or know anything about when this may have been taken, this picture?
Hmm.
Kind of hard to say.
It came out of, it looks like it came out of one of the yearbooks. Because I'm
Okay.
looking at, because you can see their names. So Mrs. Watkins, Miss Dent, Mrs. Pritchett, who is that? I can't read that. Van Putten and Gloria,
Okay. All right.
Dr. Partridge.
Yeah, right there in the middle, right
Yeah.
there. Very
That's
good,
what I
very
see.
good. Thank you for that, for sharing that, Benita. Appreciate
Sure.
that
No
and honoring that. All right. So music, we were talking about music, how that's been an intricate part. And so much so that Dr. Chris Dent was inspired to write a song. Chris on by any chance?
I don't know.
Dr. Chris Dent? If not, then let's move on. Let's move on to the president, as well as, I don't know if they're on yet. Oh, I think I did see him, Chris. And if I'm not mistaken, Elder Jordan, you are the head of SOS. Is that not correct? Or at least a member of that committee. Are you still on, Chris?
Chris Jordan,
There you go. Thank you.
I'm here.
Go
Yes.
ahead. Anything you'd like to share concerning that?
Well, yes, I am not the chair of SOS,
Okay,
and I'm not a member. I'm a friend of the organization.
there you go. There you go. And that's all right.
So I am. I started my school years at Lynwood Elementary. Went through first to 8th grade through Lynwood Elementary, and then went to Lynwood Academy. And so I have done all my years of school in our school, Lynwood. And like the others have said, those were years that the experiences and the friendships have shaped, even to this day, my life and what I'm doing now. So Dr. Ronald's his PowerPoint presentation and that information really confirmed what I've known in my own life, that with years of Christian education, it's hard and it's rare for people to actually leave the faith. And so it provides a good, strong foundation. So I'm thankful for that. Also thankful for this occasion in which we can share and share our stories and share our experiences. We spoke a little bit about music. I was an undercover musician in school, and no one knew that I was actually interested in music until after high school. And someone saw me somewhere playing and didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. So at the time in high school, though, I was part of the Laniers under John Dennison. And following Alan Woodson and the Lenards, we formed, once they graduated, we formed our own Lenards with Raymond Davis, Joseph Jones, Richard Jackson, and myself. And we were able to push the ball a few years forward as we were part of the Lenards. And so again, once again, even with music, that was a staple. It was an influencing set of experiences for me going on tour with the Laniers and the Lenards under John Dennison, and experiencing the music that we did and the camaraderie that came about with going on tour.
Very nice, Chris. Thanks so much. And you certainly have offered your services in ministry and music for years now. We have enjoyed that and the talents that God has entrusted you with. Thank you for that. Why don't we hear from some of our audience now before we let Dr. McCowan and perhaps Elder Pascal and Benita have the last word. Any remarks or comments from our audience about LAAA, Lynwood Academy, Los Angeles Union, Los Angeles Academy, and what it has meant to you? And then I'm going to also ask, I see two teachers, if they would be willing to make a remark. I saw Daryl and Pete jump on, and I know Dr. Lily Nelson, ladies as teachers, one as a principal, if you have any remarks to share as well. So first, and then also in that order, I also see Cassandra. Cassandra, if Gary or you want to make any remarks, certainly that would be most appropriate as well. So first, anyone from our audience, thank you for being with us today. Anyone with any remarks or comments that you'd like to share about those two campuses?
I'd like to share. My name is Janice Moon Reynolds. And I want to go all the way back to when my mother came to LA Union. She was fairly new in town. We had moved from Akron, Ohio, and she had become Adventist while actually when she was carrying me. And she arrived on the campus and she wanted to put her children in a Christian school. And I'm a little emotional right now, but my mother, Elder Simon, was the principal. And he said, well, do you know how to drive a bus? And my mother did not know how to drive a bus. She said, no, she didn't know how to drive, but she'd be willing to, to learn. And he took her out that day and they started learning how to drive that bus. And my mother ended up being the bus driver there for quite a few years before she went on to do other things. But I had a wonderful time at LA Union, and it was definitely foundational. I also arrived early in the morning with Ronald McCowan and Anthony Pascal and a bunch of other people, and we would play softball first thing in the morning before school started. So it was a family. Going to LA Union really was a family. I enjoyed the music. I remember Elder Nelson would have us sing songs like Through Space to Glory and If You're Happy, You Know It.
You needed to see that's what he really wanted. And that time apart was exactly what.
Janice, I appreciate so much your remarks. You wouldn't know this, but some of you may remember the year, well, it happened more than once, but I know when I was working with Dr. Mark Woodson one of the years we had scheduled to speak Dr. James Doggett, and it didn't work out. I believe he got called in concerning transplant and so forth, and that led us to have to deal with a situation. You know how the commercial on television says, "Ma, we got a situation." And I was tasked, along with Dr. Woodson, with finding a speaker at what appeared to be the 14th hour. I think it was like 48 hours before Alumni Weekend was to start. And we concluded on a speaker, Dr. Woodson and myself, and some of you may recall because he was not an alumnus. That was the 1 year that we had a speaker come forward, and it was Dr. Eric Walsh. Some of you all may recall that. But what I remember, Janice, is something you probably don't even have a clue because I haven't spoken about it with you. But I remember that you all as a family were so excited because your family was sitting there together and your brother was a part of that group. And I remember after Dr. Walsh concluded his sermon that day, your brother responded to his appeal. And as a result of that, I don't know what had been happening before, but his response to the appeal was so awe-inspiring, and it was encouraging, and it really lifted the spirits of those who had known whatever was going on. And it wasn't too long after that that I heard that your brother had passed, but it wasn't without him having responded to the appeal from Dr. Walsh. And it just seemed as though the Lord had orchestrated that, and Dr. Walsh was there, and he said something that moved the heart of your brother. And that is another reason why we are who we are, the foundation that's been given. So for your sacrifice, and I know your mom, what she did in her stories, I hope that she paid you to be quiet about what went down on those buses. But we appreciate it so much about what your mom did and what she offered.
Oh, let me just say this one thing real quick. My brother, both my brothers were kind of ill, but my brother ended up going blind as a result of diabetes complications. And because we also cleaned the school, he was able to walk during graduation because we knew it like the back of our hand. And yes, it was very foundational spiritually, and everybody stayed on the good ship until they left. That's all I have to say.
Amen. Thank you, Janice. Appreciate it. Dr. Rock, I saw you show up. I appreciate you.
Well, I'm sitting here with all kinds of emotions because, well, the first one is kind of humorous, I guess, because I had some things clear up in my mind. I thought the white people closed up Lynwood purposely to get rid of the colored folk. Now I got the real story. I'm glad that's straight in my mind. You hear a lot of stories, but that's one I heard. But of course, I was long gone, so I wasn't there to know.
Don't throw that one away, Doc. Don't throw that one away.
That was a tale I heard, Anthony, and and the rest of you. But I got straight. It was eminent domain. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Willis.
That's
Thank
right,
you,
Dr. Rock. It was eminent
Cole,
domain.
All right. But
That's
you
the same
just took
thing.
away. You just took away one of my main whipping sticks. I'll have to eliminate that one.
It was eminent domain, and the school was replaced by a predominantly Hispanic population.
Yeah, well, thank you for that clarification. But, Evelyn Thomas, Dr. Thomas, who is always so quiet, but she and I both were at pre-LAJA or AAA or whatever, back in 1941. So you don't want to go way back there, but we had Professor Dent, whose wife Alice has been mentioned here, the Dent family. And all I want to say is that, I want to say two things. First of all, a tribute to Pastor P.G. Rogers, who pastored the Wadsworth Church back there in the late 30s and the early 40s. My family moved to LA in 1941, just a few months before World War II broke out. and I was in the 6th grade. And that's where I met my wife to be for 65. Yeah, oh yeah, that's the other good thing about Christian education, by the way. And the first day I sat down in class, a young lady, and I was late because we come from the East Coast, from Harlem, where I was born. And I sat down in the front of the class, and somebody hit me on my shoulder. This is 1941, September, in the school that was on 41st and Naomi. Evelyn, you'll have to correct me because you would remember, Dr. Thomas. But somebody hit me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, boy." They didn't even know me. "Hey, boy." And I turned around, and it was a young lady, Dolores is her name. And she said, "That girl back there says she likes you." And I turned around and looked right in the face of the pastor's daughter, youngest child, who later became my wife. Of course, she always denied saying that, but anyway, that was an early beginning for Christian education back in 1941. 1941, when I was 11 years of age, and I was there when the school was built. Brother Taylor, some of you remember Brother Taylor, his son Calvin, one of his sons was named for me. And he had another son who died recently. But Brother Taylor was my straw boss when we were on top of the building, the main building that's still there, the central part of the structure on El Segundo. And I remember measuring off when the builders came up and said, now we need this building to be 60 feet wide. And there I was, age 16, just finishing the 10th grade, on my way to Pine Forge for the 11th grade. But I came back and graduated in 1948 with the 2nd class. The 1st class graduated in 1947. That was the first full graduating class. Our class in 48 had 5 students. Everybody was an officer. We had 5 officers, and we all filled them. And I think Alice Smith is probably the only survivor of that 5. Dr. Victor Joseph, who still has relatives and whose sister died recently, Merrill Hinkle, was one of those. And those were the old days, but you don't want to know all that. What I'm really trying to say is that we all owe thanks to Elder Rogers and to Elder Peterson and to Elder Robertson, who came after those first 2, who saw to it that the school did not die and that it lived to be transferred to you, from us old timers born in the 30s to you who were born later. And it's great to see what the school has done for you. And my heart is full of excitement and appreciation to the Lord for those pastors. And I hope the present cadre of pastors, I wish for them the same enthusiasm, so this school will not dwindle and lose grades, but with our help as alumnus and their leadership, you and I can do for this generation what succeeding generations will be able to reflect upon should time last. So God bless you, and keep up the good work, and go on, go on, go on, go on. Go on, and keep on going on.
Come on now.
And don't let this school die.
That's all right. That's all right. That is all right. Thank you, Uncle Calvin. Uncle Calvin, may I have your permission to say something, or should I?
I don't know what you're going to say. You didn't ask me privately. I don't know what you're going to say. Better whisper to your husband and find out first.
Oh, he said yes.
All right, I trust him.
Okay. I just need all of you all to pause and give a hand clap, because Dr. Rock has been informed that he is going to be the recipient of an award, and I'm going to read it to you just very quickly. I'm going to keep it in line with what your alumnus are doing, the alumnus for this from this campus. So I want to share with you very, very quickly, I hope I can find it, that he is the recipient of an award that comes from the President of the United States, and I'm going to read it as follows.
But anyway, yeah.
The Low Country Rice Culture Project cordially invites you to attend the reception to honor recipients of the President's Volunteer Service Award. Walter Federitz, Esquire, Deborah Kennedy Kennard, Esquire, Dr. Marguerite German, Autumn Phillips, and Dr. Jack Chaper were previous recipients. And now for the Volunteer Service Award this coming weekend, a week from tomorrow, now joining that group will be Dr. Calvin Ross. We got to give it up for him. I hope I said that correctly, but we just want to perhaps just acknowledge that we as alumnus are also proud of him in that regard as well. So thank you, Uncle Calvin, for your remarks and for your example to go on, go on, go on. Let's hear from Walter Turner, followed by Aaron. I think, Aaron, you had your hand up, and CJ. We'll take those three, and then we'll hear some final remarks from previous presidents and have care over this institution.
Are we not going to hear from Dr. Thomas?
I know she's on, but she has been very quiet. Maybe you can persuade her.
Well,
Dr. Thomas, I know you're on up here. Are you willing to say anything, Dr. Thomas? Even if it's go on, that you went on. I don't think she's gonna say anything. Maybe she'll rise up and say something. No, she's not muted. She's not muted. Well, Dr. Thomas, if you decide that you'd like to share something, let us know. Let's hear from Aaron. Did she say something? Let's hear from Aaron and her, I think that's Aaron. Aaron, is that you?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear from you.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Just want to say a few words. Representing the class of 2000, we like to say once in a lifetime because, 2000 won't happen. Hopefully, we won't be here still. But yeah, just wanted to reflect a little bit of my LAAA days. I kind of had a little bit of an interesting, coming around back to the school because I went to Lynwood in like 88 for kindergarten. So I started at there and then went to Culver City, which is a whole nother experience, as you can imagine, and then came back around to LAAA for high school. So as you can imagine, Culver City to right there down the street in Compton was a whole nother situation, but it was family. And so really enjoyed being able to come on back. Some of the memorable things, we still had our basketball team at the time. It was like after my freshman year, they kind of started being weird because we didn't have a gym, but my freshman year, we got to compete and travel different teams and schools with our basketball. So that was fun. Just a lot of memories from chapel and all the songs, singing all kind of fun stuff. But, at the welcome table would go on for like 30 minutes until Mr. Todd would stand up and go, okay, like there's not another verse. You guys got to bring it back. But we had Miss Todd, she was the teacher at the time. We had Mr. Pascal. Keith was still there at the time. Unfortunately, he left before I graduated, but that was a fun time. His religion classes, we look forward to it. All kind of great stuff. And yeah, just glad that, it's still standing. I worked in the office with Miss Young, so I saw a lot. But, all in all, Mr. Abraham was still there. All kind of great stuff. And, I think that was one of the beautiful things is that there's like a line of continuation, because Abraham was there forever. Miss Young was there forever. Quite a few other teachers. Thankfully, I was young enough to miss all the beatings. So my brothers have those stories. I have none of them. And I'm grateful for that. I did have one. I almost got beat in kindergarten. What was it? Lynwood. What was her name? Miss Smith. No, not Miss. So Miss Smith was my teacher.
Aaron, I got to stop you for a moment. You're using the word beat. It sounds.
I know.
Oh, okay.
This is being recorded.
You can't say the word beat. Come on now, girl. You cut me some. Yeah.
All right,
battle or
Callie,
sing to
yes,
something, but not beat.
Callie.
We give people the
Yeah.
wrong impression.
Administrative
Either way,
discipline.
There you go.
Discipline,
Beating is what
yes.
happens at home, not
I
Or
miss,
say,
I miss,
say,
either
you need
way,
to paddle.
and I'm
That's what mother
grateful.
had.
It was
Listen,
urgent.
I missed it and I'm grateful for it. So
okay. All
I have
right.
all the
Thanks.
stories, but praise
Thanks,
God for
Aaron.
LAAA. And
Thanks,
I
Aaron. Appreciate it. Shout out to both of you all. Appreciate that. Thank you for that. CJ, I think you had your hand up, and then Walter's turn.
Just really quickly, just wanted to give a little update. We've been working as a team as the board of LAAA. And our team has been working along to put together our 5-year plan, to put together a way for us to actually come together to expand the school and to reopen the high school. And so you all will be hearing more about that. But I want you to begin by praying about it, and 2, being open and available to hearing how you can play a part with us as we move forward. And so just want to put that on the table, let you know that we're working hard to get this, get the school stable and moving forward. We want to see a thriving LAAA. And so we're all working together to do so.
Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate that. Appreciate that indeed. Let's move on. Walter Turner.
Yes, I was at LA Union for 1 year. Then I went to Lynwood Academy for 4, and then I went on to Oakwood, where I was blessed to work with Dr. Rock. I want to thank each and every person tonight, this afternoon, because each of you, they're either a little older, you know, around Anthony's age and younger. I really appreciate what you folks did for my family. You have blessed my family immensely. Some of you don't realize it. My brother Joseph was a handful, and there were people that took care of my brother, and I will be ever indebted to LA Union, and for everyone, Mr. Patey and Brother Patey, that they went beyond. He should have been gone a long time ago, but they bent over backwards, and today I just thank God that I have the opportunity to work with kids and to bend over backwards. And sometimes people say you're too kind, and I said somebody bent over for me. Someone bent over for my family. We couldn't afford Adventist education, and some way somehow my mother sent 5 of us through, and I thank God for it. And I'm gonna talk with my wife, and we're gonna see how we can send something to LA Union, LA Academy every month. It is important that those of us that have been blessed reach out around the world, and I do have contacts around the world, that they give back, because Adventist education. I am here today, and I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of young people to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior because of my start at LA Union and Lynwood and Oakwood. So I just want to say a shout out to Adventist education. It's worth the investment.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Mr. Turner. Appreciate that. And our prayers continue to be with you as you eulogize your brother. Let's continue. I saw Dr. Chris Dent. And Dr. Dent, before I call you forward, I'm just wondering, can you pull up the recording of Building the Bridge? You are responsible in part for that song, if not completely responsible. I was wondering, would you mind if I give you, or Benita, you or either one of you, if you would pull it up so we can play that song Going Out, if you don't mind.
Sure, I'll look it up in my
all right,
my library.
All right, any remarks? You're the previous LAAA past, alumni past president. Any remarks about this?
Sure, I just want you all to know that this is God's school, and God has been holding this school together with spiritual glue.
At this point,
we have partnered with the conference. The conference therefore partners with the school. School now partnerships with each of the parents. The school is so significant because the children are taking the word to their uncles and aunts and grandparents. The grandparents and uncles and aunts are being saved because of the teaching of the Word of God and other academic aspects at LAAA. We have so many people that are fighting for the school. We have so many people marketing for the school. I've always been a believer of Christian education, and I'm only here because of Christian education. When I went to Lynwood, one thing I felt was safe. I felt safe on the campus. We had some problems. Remember that we had Lynwood High used to come over in the afternoon, and we had to kind of put our vegetarian battles together, but God always protected us. And I just want to leave by letting everyone know this is God's school, and the school will not go anywhere until God says so. So let's all rally in together to support the school. And remember, little becomes much when you place it in the master's hand.
Appreciate that, Chris. Appreciate it. And if you get a chance, pull up your song.
I'll put my finger up when I have the queued up, and you let me know when you want to.
There you go. There you go. We appreciate that.
Sure. God bless you.
Miss Debbie, if I could, just really quickly.
Surely.
I just want to mention, it's so amazing to hear everybody's support and their love for it. We had just had the WASC
accreditation committee. I heard about it. Yes.
They were thoroughly impressed. They gave a big nod, and they said a lot of schools should be doing what we're doing. And they said that just the character of the kids and just what we were doing, they were very, very highly impressed. So just want you guys to know your prayers and your support has been amazing. The kids are growing well. And as Chris said, it is true. A lot of them go back to their parents and their grandparents, and they get to actually see Christ and just the love that has been given to them. So that's just one to just piggyback on that. But they're doing awesome, and it's good to be around them. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very, very much. Dr. Nelson or Sister Peak, Carolyn Peak, any comments from either of you ladies regarding your time as an administrator and a teacher on the campus?
Oh, I just want to say good evening to everybody. I attended LA Union and graduated from there from first grade to 8th grade. And then I went on to Lynwood, and I graduated from Lynwood, and then I went on to Oakwood College. And after graduating from Oakwood College, I came back to it was LA Union, and then it changed to Los Angeles Adventist Academy. And I worked there for 40 years, teaching 3rd grade. It was a great pleasure. I had the opportunity to work with J.P. Willis, Dr. Nelson, Elder Patey, and it was a pleasure to work under them. And then I'm looking on the Zoom, and I had the privilege to teach Herman Finnison and Harold Burnett. And I was smiling because Ronald McCowan and we used to ride the school bus together when we attended LA Union. So I just want to say that I received a good, excellent education when I attended LA Union. And for me to come back and give my service to the school, it was a great pleasure. And now I'm serving on the Alumni Association. So I'm doing everything I can to support and help the school, because I feel that our school should be second to none. So as everyone has said, we're going to put all of our support to keep our school going and to bring our high school back. And I feel that all the students that I still see that I've taught, I'm just so proud of them. And it's a pleasure when they come back and tell me, Mrs. Peak, thank you for what you did for me. And I'm doing this and that and the other. So I just want to say thank you. And it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Sister Peak. I appreciate that. Dr. Maxwell, Dr. Randy Maxwell, I believe that you are on. It has a different name, but nonetheless, you're on. So please share some of your reflection.
Just real quick, thank you, Sister Debbie. And you introduced me as doctor. That must be prophetic. I don't have my doctorate yet, but that's okay. I'm going to receive it. I'm going to receive it in Jesus' name. And I want to thank everybody else for being on here. A lot of familiar faces that I know, people that I grew up with, Walter Turner, and Benita Knight, and I'm just excited to be here in this group. I went to Lynwood all 12 years from grade 1 through 12, graduated class of 77. And some of the most outstanding memories to me, of course, the beautiful campus, that feeling of safety, the prayer in the schools, and the teachers. I'll always remember the teachers. Glenn McKnight was one of my Bible teachers, as well as Harold Rich. It was Harold Rich really who threw out a challenge in class one day that the Christian life is exciting. And I had been raised in an Adventist family, member of the University Seventh-day Adventist Church, baptized in the University Seventh-day Adventist Church by Elder Allison. And I only knew Adventism. And he stood up in class one day and said, the Christian life is an exciting one. And I was living a Christian life, but I couldn't say that it was necessarily exciting, but he threw that out as a challenge to me. And I determined to find out if that was so. Went on a personal spiritual journey. And I think that's the value of Christian education, is because of the spiritual element, obviously, and the fact that Jesus is presented and uplifted all the time. And that's when I really found the Lord. It was in my junior year at Lynwood Academy. And I found my wife there as well, who is a LA Union alumnus. And it changed my life, turned me around. And now I'm a pastor, have been for the last 16 years. I'm up in Renton, Washington, and pastor there. My first experience away from Adventist education pointed out to me the value of it. On the college level, I went to Cal State Dominguez Hills, and that was my first experience where there wasn't prayer to start the class. And I remember what a culture shock that was. But it was also there for the first time I was exposed to lifestyles and values that were not Adventist. And I want to affirm that those years of Adventist education grounded me, and I was able to hold my own in that other environment, and find out that the teachings and the values that I was raised with held up. They held up under scrutiny, and it more solidified my faith. And I owe all of that to those educators at Lynwood Academy. So that's all I had to say. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you today.
Absolutely.
Debbie.
Don't forget, I'm speaking Dr. Maxwell.
Yes, thank you. I receive it.
Sister Peak, you were going to say something?
I just want to say, I wanted to say that I did work with Mrs. Knight, and I wanted to let Benita Knight know it was a pleasure working with her mom. My 40 years, and Mrs. Knight was there before me, so it was a pleasure for us to work together at the school.
Thanks, Darylyn. I was trying to get my mom on, but she's not techie savvy, and she hits one button and it does something else, so she wasn't able to join. I was trying to get her to join on though.
But we had fun times working together.
Yes. Thank you.
All righty. I'm not sure which iPhone it belongs to, but someone felt the need to let us know that they were a recipient of some of those licks, not beating, but licks, and followed by saying ouch in the chat. So I trust that that corporal punishment that they received helped them. Help them. Any final remarks before I get a closing, a final word from 2 former presidents and 1 student that I'm going to refer back to, and then Dr. Chris, 3 former presidents. Benita Knight with a final word, Dr. Elder Dr. and maybe I'm speaking prophetically again, Freudian slip, Elder Anthony Pascal. Final word from Dr. Chris Dent. Don't know if our current president has any remarks, and we'll go in that order. Any other remarks?
You know, Debbie, I just want to say one thing real quick. Hello, everyone. I am not an alumni of Lynwood, but I married one. My husband, Gary, and I just want to really quickly say thank you to all the Lynwood family. My husband has always talked about Lynwood, and I know my mother-in-law worked herself to death to keep them all there. But he's had such an amazing experience, and I didn't really understand that whole thing about the Lynwood family and the tightness until Gary got sick about 3.5 years ago. And we had so many visitors that came, but there were so many people from Lynwood, and I kept saying, "Who are you? What's your name?" Well, oh, Gary knows me from Lynwood. It was like, I think may have been close to 100 people that came from the Lynwood family. So I just want to say on behalf of our family, just thank you to everyone. Mr. Willis, Dr. Wright, all of them have just made such a huge impact on my husband, which has obviously carried over into our family. So I just wanted to say that and thank everybody.
It's so great to have you, Cassandra. Thank you for that and for hanging on and hanging in there. And we've certainly been united in prayer during that time and continue to be. So to have you share those words is meaningful. Thank you for that. All righty. I think we're drawing near to a close. Benita, let's start with you. Some final remarks.
Sure.
About this institution. Let's make it about a minute, whatever that may be. Final remarks, and we'll close out with the prayer and the song. And I'm going to ask, I'll come up with who will offer prayer for the institution and the upcoming alumni weekend virtual event that's going to take place with Herman Finnison, who will be its MC for next week. The closing remarks, closing thoughts about this institution.
So I just wanted to say it all started with a vision. The Alumni Association with Elder Payee and Chris Dent and Mark Whitson and I sitting in his office on a Friday night planning and discussing and sharing how we were going to move forward with this organization. But at the end of the day, it takes every single person to be committed. Just like my knee, I still look down at it on my left knee and I see that scab where I've been branded. So I'm forever connected to the school, whether I am happy with the people that I work with, whether it's dissension or I'm feeling like there are issues and stuff, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is it's not about me. It's about what God has chosen me to do. He has gifted me with phenomenal gifts. And Debbie, you don't need to speak prophetically because I am working on my doctorate. So I will be Dr. Knight.
All right, good.
But
Very
through
good.
all of the adversities and challenges that I had, that knee, that scar on my knee has reminded me that he has always been with me and that he has forgiven me and that he had a special destiny and purpose for me. And when this Alumni Association was birthed, it was my Esther season. And I praise God for all those people that supported me and rode the ride with me. And to all the haters, I appreciate them and love them because they helped me to be the better person. And for that, I am thankful. So I just want to ask everyone just to keep looking forward, keep connected. Don't look at the haters. Forget about that. Put Jesus in front of them. And that's all you need to look at. And let's look at our children. They are the future and they're on that sacred ground. And it's our responsibility to make sure that they get what God has destined them to receive so that they can move out, so that they can be back on the Zoom meeting 20 years from now talking about how LAAA has helped them. Thank you very much for having me today.
Very good. Thank you very much for your passion for the campus, for the school. And adversity builds strength, does it not? It builds character. And sometimes we want to run from adversity and talk about it, but the song, the old spiritual, Lord, don't move that mountain.
Yes, yes.
It gives me strength to climb it.
Yes.
Don't move that stumbling block.
That's right.
Show me the way around it. So
That's right.
sometimes we talk about adversity, but hey, let's remember that it builds character and strength. And that's what we've seen with this campus. We've experienced adversity, not so much me, but the campus, we've seen it. And that has built strength. We wouldn't be here without that adversity. So I want to just acknowledge that. Let's move on to the next former president. I'm gonna leave you last, Dr. Dent, so you can play the song, and I've already made you co-host. Dr. McCowan, some final remarks. I know you're not a former president, but you've had a passion that's, we've all been able to have a front row seat.
Yes.
So any remarks from you, and then I'll ask President Burnett and Dr. Elder.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been fantastic to have this opportunity to see so many folks that were behind me. I don't see any that were in front of me. I'm so grateful, and when I say in front of me, in school. So glad to have Dr. Nelson with us. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Rock. It's interesting that he's on here, and it's sort of like mentorship. I was listening and watching a video of a speech that he gave to Loma Linda University back in 2013. And it must have been for Black History Month, because there's a lot of historical information there. And it was an absolutely phenomenal presentation. And I would encourage you to look at that. Also, just a shout out for his book. I've read that, Protest in Progress. My good friend Anthony Pascal was actually mentioned in that book, and the history of the establishment of the Black conferences and the ideas that and viewpoints that different pastors had, East Coast versus West Coast. It's a phenomenal history of that. And actually, I remember Dr. Rock being the president of Oakwood while I was there, and him playing softball with us. I'd be out in left field, and when he got out to the plate, I knew I'd have to take a few steps back because he was a home run hitter.
Yeah.
And he played on the faculty football team too, and those guys didn't mess around. I got a couple of busted lips playing with the faculty. So, you learn lessons on the football field and the softball field as well. But we were all family. We loved each other. And it is inspirational to see him here with us today. And I appreciate the mentoring, distant mentoring, I should say, because he was in the pastoral field and I was in the medical field, but still to see your Black leaders, they're out there on the field with you is so important. So I'm grateful for his leadership and our teachers that are here with us today.
Amen.
Thank you, Dr. McCowan. I appreciate that. Elder Pascal.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that baton, Dr. McCowan. Thank you once again for this opportunity to share on that. When I mentioned the licks earlier, I wanted to transition into why LA Union was so important and Lynwood Academy with that impact. So I would say that it was better to have gotten the lick, the spanking, or the beating from my Black teacher than a white policeman with a billy club. So that's why I was saying that where we were going with this, that love was so great, so powerful. I want to say this too, for all the Black boys back then, I might be a little nervous. Cause people a little nervous, but for the first 8 years of classrooms, we as Black boys saw people that looked like us, our teachers, our professors that looked like us. I think we undervalue that today. Why our people make an impact, show grace, show mercy, have tolerance with young people that look like that. So LA Union, thank you for those first 8 years of Black teachers. So when we got to Lynwood Academy, Ron, I don't know if you remember this, but in our sophomore year, we had come up through the 60s, early 70s, turbulent years, a lot of racial tension in the world. I believe in our freshman year, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and both of the Kennedys were dead by then. So y'all can check me on that, make sure my stats are correct. So what happened on Lynwood Academy campus is that they would not let us have Martin Luther King Day's birthday off. So we in our sophomore class, along with a lot of students, had us sit out. We didn't go to class for the first couple of times after lunch to protest not having that. This came from the voice and opportunities that our Black teachers gave us in our elementary years to not be afraid to stand up for justice, because they use those leaders as examples for us. So I'm eternally grateful for that foundation. And what happened was we were able to get that day off because we sat out. The principal actually gave us the day off. So that was really an impact on that. I'll say something leading to the sports and then I'm finished. Also, by playing sports at LA Union, we didn't have ball diamonds. Ronald, you know, used to hit the ball on the classroom side, and we just had an all dirt ball diamond and a couple of little wooden bats that we made it through. But what happened was I actually wound up playing with Finnison's parents, father and uncle. I don't know if you remember that, Professor Finnison, but I played baseball with your dad and your uncle in LA sports leagues around town. So they taught me a lot about the game also, but also went on to have a white teacher at Lynwood Academy who was interested in me personally because I was upset with the lack of competitive sports in the Adventist church and how we took such a backwards view that I think we're still trying to catch up, how it makes money, how it exposes today. But Debbie, you'll remember this. From there, I went on to be able to, he had me do a paper. I'm gonna tell you what I wound up doing when I got to be an administrator in the conference. But he had me do a paper to do the research on competitive sports in the Adventist church, and found out, as usual, we were sort of taking her out of context and misconstruing that. So I went on to Oakwood, like you said, with Dr. Rock, played a lot of ball with him. His only thing, Ronald, he's a San Francisco Giant fan. So I don't know what happened to him. But that's his only fault. That's his only fault, since I've been admiring that man for years and years and years. So Dr. Rock, come on over to the LA Dodger side, and we'll be all right. But when I got to the Southeastern California Conference and became a vice president, we were able to create Adventist Sports League Association that had a vision, at least, to try to help our kids coin their athletic talent and mix it with their academic talent and make an impact. Dr. Rock helped me with a booth that was advertising that, because they had really kicked my booth out of the convention. But at any rate, I wanted to thank all the people who saw that vision along the line, and hopefully that can be picked back up again to recognize the gifts that we have in all of all what the students have to present at LA Union and what Lynwood did. So props. I do represent SOS, Save Our School, Los Angeles Adventist Academy as its president, and I'm here to say we're ready, standing forward with Chris Jordan to raise the money to bring back our high school and get the sports program going again, as well as the academic program. Thank you much for all the visionaries on this line. We know that all work together for the good, and we thank God for your leadership, for your vision, Debbie, allowing us to tell this story, because that's really very, 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 very crucial that our stories get told so that those coming behind us can always build on that and move. Speaking about building, Chris.
God bless you. I just want to say
a good lead in. Chris,
Oh.
before you do that though, can you make mention of, while you're speaking, and it may be that Elder Pascal and Nita and even Dr. McCowan, of some of those names that we would recognize that have come through the halls of the school. Would you tie that in somehow? Because sometimes we don't recognize or realize how we've made a significant impact. We have a leader who's a politician in Southern California. We have our ministers that have matriculated through the school, and an administrator that we've seen in Dr. Rock. We've had those who have made their fingerprint on medicine. Can you touch base on that so they can see that the impact has not only been in terms of what we've heard today, but the academic curriculum can stand toe to toe with anything, because we've seen it in what it has produced.
You articulated oh so eloquently. If you don't mind, can I just play the track first? I did, and you'll see later, I didn't know why I was doing this, but I did something last week that I'm going to share with you guys for the first time.
All right.
And I hope you enjoy it, but I'll just say this. I thank God for my godfather, the late Reverend Dr. Lorenzo Patey, because he believed in me And I thought he was playing because we have a jovial relation. We had a jovial relationship. He said, "Godson, I need you to write a song." And I didn't take him serious. He said, "It's about a bridge." And I said, "London Bridge is falling down." You know, that's how we got down. We were playful. Then he said, "No, Godson, I need it in 3 days." I said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Why did you take so long, Godfather?" He broke it down. You know how he was. Come on. He knew how to talk to anybody at any time, and he knew how to set stuff straight. So I took me 3 hours to write this song. Now I want you to hear the full orchestration that I had in my mind when he asked me, and it goes something like this. And I hope that you can, thank you, Debbie, for allowing me to share the screen.
Absolutely.
And this is, oh my goodness. This is Building the Bridge.
We are building a bridge together, holding hands, working side by side. The Lord Himself, He will be our guide. We are building the bridge. We are building a bridge together. We are building a bridge together, holding hands, working side by side. The Lord Himself, He will be our guide. We are building a bridge. We are building a bridge together. We are building a bridge together, holding hands, working side by side. The Lord Himself gonna be our guide. We're building a bridge, Lord, with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. We are building a bridge together. We are building a bridge together, holding hands, working side by side. The Lord Himself, He will be our guide. We are building a bridge. We'll shout hallelujah when the work is done, and thank the Lord for all He's done. We'll shout hallelujah when the work is done, and thank the Lord for all He's done. We are building, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. We are building a bridge together. We are building a bridge together, holding hands, working side by side. The Lord Himself, He will be your guide. We are building a bridge. We are building a bridge, building a bridge.
Yes.
We are building a bridge, building
Absolutely beautiful.
If I just want to just say just a few more words, Debbie, if you'd be so kind. I love to be obedient to those that are in leadership. I like to follow their tutelage. Unfortunately, I can't answer your question with specific names, but that video shows that red and yellow, black and white, they're all precious in the sight of God. And all these colors have gone through our institution and they've all been touched. And I believe every person that came through our walls, our streets, our hallways have been, their lives have been instantly changed. Look, let me give you one example. If you look at everyone here today, here's the blessing, here's the miracle. All of us look the same and we can all identify each other 40 plus years. We all look the same. Now, if we're going to be honest, there are some of us who, because of circumstances, have intake more liquor or drugs. They look older than us. Yes, you don't have to say anything. That's fine. I'm with Pastor Pascal. Sometimes we may say things that bend. I say what I feel, but we all can recognize each other. And that is a blessing coming through a Christian education, being taught in a safe environment. Now, I had one teacher who was my favorite teacher, and that was Mr. Harris. He was our religious teacher. When he came to the school, his eyesight was bad. He's blind now, but I learned from him one thing. He said, if you're going to date somebody, date them with the intentions of marrying them. If not, don't bother them, because you are interfering with God and the Holy Spirit trying to get their soul. I never forgot that. And I took relationships serious. This is 40 plus years information that a blind man told me that I never forgot. So that's what helps me continue to build the bridge. If you notice how I put that together, and I have to give dap to Brother Fred Settles. He did that for me. And he's also going to do the Alumni Association. He has been gifted. We know him as directing, but all of us have multiple gifts. There's not one Seventh-day Adventist that I know that does one thing good. We all are multi-talented. So let's pull together. Chris Jordan gave a short presentation. Listen, none of us have big money. We all have money, but we don't have big money. Let's put our little money together. Little becomes much when you place it in the master's hand. I pass the baton back to our leader. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you, Dr. Chris. One more time, President Harold Burnett, did you have any remarks? Okay, I think he does not. So I'm going to end with this. I want to thank each one of you for your reflections, for sharing this time about an institution that means so much.
Yes, yes.
The fact of the matter is, this isn't even enough time to begin to capture the essence of what this campus means.
Yes.
I think of LAAA, my mind takes me back to Edmonia Taylor in the cafeteria. When I think of LAAA, I think of two individuals who attended an all-white party that I had last year that I've known since first grade. When I think of LAAA, I think of the individuals that have walked through those halls, that have gone out to be tentacles, extensions of a foundation and a belief that was based upon a spiritual, unified purpose that came together somehow, as Dr. Rock referenced, through those members at what was then called Wadsworth. They had a dream, they had a vision. That vision and that dream continues to move on in the works of SOS, which I understand is now under the leadership of Elder Pascal. It moves on through Alumni and the dream that Benita had for it to come together. And it moves on through individuals like you and I, when we come together with our stories that ultimately become our testimony, and we share that and enable someone else to experience a testimony or a story.
That's right.
Stories increase and continue to build when they walk through those halls. And so we really don't have a choice we must
Yeah.
see to it that
Yes.
we're not just talking about it, but that we are acting in conjunction with the purpose and objectives that has been set out before us. So I'm going to ask if someone would put in the chat how we can donate, what we can do. I don't know if that's SOS or if it's the Alumni Association, but someone please put in the chat how we can donate either by Cash App or Zelle or where to send a check. It would just be sad if we had this gathering and we didn't give individuals a chance to do something by way of donation ahead of time so that we could start the celebration of the virtual celebration for next week, start that early. So I want to ask somebody to please do that for us. And then I did not hear from Dr. Nelson. Dr. Nelson, did you have any remarks that you wanted to say?
Thank you, Debbie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Debbie, for the opportunity that you have presented to us today. It was just wonderful listening to the reflections. I think I had a unique situation because I had an opportunity to serve the school in 3 different time periods. I first taught at the school 2nd grade and then moved to 5th grade. So I was a teacher. And then after I had retired, I had the opportunity to go back twice to work at the school as the principal. Each time I have really understood what Christian education can do because it was when I was 13 years old, I had the opportunity to attend Pine Forge, and it was a life-altering situation. I began to realize then that Christian education makes a difference. And when we look at it from not only just training the students or working with the students and guiding them, but it is an evangelistic tool. And I think if we would think of it as that, then we would be more in tune to be supportive. It is certainly an evangelistic tool with which to work. And so we say to all of us, we've enjoyed the times we've had together, but let's support that school. Let's make it what it needs to be so that it can represent Christ and it can also be the bulwark for moving forward to the kingdom of God.
Amen.
Thank you again for this opportunity. And I'm so happy to see all of you. And Walter Turner, I have not seen you, but I've seen you on Facebook. And I wanted to ask you, how is Charlotte, your sister? But it's great to see all of you and to hear your stories today.
Thank you so
I
much,
would
Dr.
like to
Nelson.
say I'm speaking for my husband as well. He's not on, but we enjoyed our time at LAAA and at Lynwood as well, and our daughters have been students at the school. And so we think Christian education is really the turning point for all of us, and certainly for the young people in the urban city area. So we need our school.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. I know we've gone over a little bit. We usually end by 5, but it seemed like it was needed. I'll keep it on after I close out for anyone who would like to chat. I thank you, Benita, for posting a link that's there in the chat. Please make mention or be mindful of that as we close out, and be mindful of what's to take place next week with Herman Finnison. And we stay tuned for more information about what will take place with LAAA. And let's continue to be prayerful, as admonished by Chris Jordan, who wanted us to continue to keep their efforts in prayer as they seek to complete a 5-year plan and ultimately reopen the academy. There's much to be prayerful for. So we bow our heads in prayer as we close out. Heavenly Father, with grateful hearts, we humbly just bow in your presence, thanking you for what it is that almost 100 years of Christian education hath wrought. Not by anything that we've done. As mentioned earlier, we owe a great debt to forefathers who realized that a seed needed to be planted that would allow young African American men and women, young boys and girls to ultimately become men and women who would become an integral part of the history of this church and our communities and be able to serve and make a difference in the areas where you have empowered them. Thank you for the witness that has been shared today. We recognize that there is more to do, and our time together pales in comparison to the time that has been put aside for this institution. Endless hours of board meetings and finance committee meetings and committee meetings and alumni meetings and planning meetings and loss accreditation committee meetings and on and on and on for the purpose of having this school that's been set aside so long ago to be successful. And now we, as a body of one this afternoon, we've heard. May we now move on what it is that we've heard so that we too can participate in making a difference, as have many others for this institution. Thank you for your willingness to entrust us with such an objective. Would you seal that today, the plans and the goals and the funds that are being sought? Would you empower us with wisdom, knowledge, and favor that might come to fruition sooner than we can even think or imagine? And give us faith and wisdom that we might know how to conduct ourselves accordingly so that we might be able to maximize what is needed so that these students will be able to benefit.
That's right.
You enlarge the student enrollment, enlarge the administration, enlarge the vision so that it might continue to grow. And should time last, may we be able to see that there's enough there to keep it for another 100 years, because its foundation is rooted not on anything that these feeble hands have to offer, but its foundation is based upon you. There's so much more that could be said, but each person who's committed to be here today, you bless them and their homes and their families, and the purpose that you've entrusted to each one of them is my prayer in your son's name. Amen.
Thank you for joining us once again. It has been so nice to have this time of fellowship with you. May the Lord bless and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and grant you and yours peace. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. For more information about this program, This Is My Story, Testimonies That Move the Soul, see us at our website. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.